So let's begin. So our first fabulous reader of the day, let me make sure that's true. Yes. Our first fabulous reader of the day is Simona Supercar. Yay! I'm gonna make you fabulous for everybody real quick. There you are. All right. So Simona Supercar is a writer who lives in Los Angeles. She teaches English and creative writing at Pasadena City College and has an MFA from UC Riverside Palm Desert. She has work in The Atlantic, Los Angeles Review of Books, and more. Please help me welcome the fabulous and wonderful Simona.
Thank you so much, Monica. I just want to thank Monica and everyone at Santa Fe Writers Project for giving me a space to share my work, especially, as you mentioned, sharing work that centers joy, which is not always something we're asked to do as people of color. So I'm reading from the essay that I had in the issue, and it's entitled Retrospective: How Millennium Music Taught Me the Pleasure of Swagger. A lot of my favorite songs had their 20th anniversary recently, and they were dropped around the time I was in college. So this essay is sort of a reflection on that. I cut and pasted parts of it and decided to focus on the J-Lo section because she's going through a rough time right now. So this is the section. It's Not Right, But It's Okay was not the Whitney sound from my youth. Echoing my own reckoning with patriarchy and capitalism, the song, specifically the Thunderpuss remix released in 2000 as I graduated from college, electrified me with an agency I did not know existed. In the video, confidence has replaced her early career buoyancy, and a series of apt hand gestures narrates her pain. Pointing, door slamming, come at me, shoo, and my personal favorite, the exasperated get the fuck out of here, after she sings, so why did 213 come up on your caller ID? Whitney does not want to dance with anybody here. She is mostly still, and in fact, her eyes, hands, mouth, and stance do most of the work. A woman of color calling the shots, swagger in action. It's no surprise that this song and other contemporaneous ones like it helped build my backbone. Coming off a grunge era that only partially spoke to my kind of angst, I primarily resonated with the voices of women during that strange time, from the late 90s to the early aughts. After a decade of music where bands like Nirvana, Stone Temple Pilots, Pearl Jam, and others defined the zeitgeist through white masculinity, music from Black and brown women of the late 90s argued for the rapture of self-worth. Consider a couple of lyrics from popular grunge and alt-rock songs from around that time. You ride the waves and don't ask where they go. You swim like lions through the crest and bathe yourself in zebra flesh. Primitive Radio Gods. Living under house, guess I'm living, I'm a mouse. All's I got's is time, got no meaning, just a rhyme. Stone Temple Pilots, and on and on. Nevertheless, I too was riveted by much of this music because it combined expert musicianship with a powerful rendering of a collective mood, a blend of apathetic and self-destructive. 90s grunge and alt-rock bands indeed made a convincing case for why words didn't matter, but the burgeoning music from women artists of the late 90s proved that they did. Often the critics did not agree with me. Take, for example, J-Lo's 1999 debut single, If You Had My Love, another Darkchild-produced hit. Though it stayed #1 on Billboard for 5 weeks, reviews critiqued the song as derivative, with an LA Times writer claiming that it sounded, quote, like a Brandy or Monica reject. She is Paula Abdul 2000, quote. But what I saw was a brown woman subverting norms by dictating the terms of her love. Quote, if I give you me, this is how it's got to be. First of all, I won't take you cheating on me, quote, was a bold directive to women, but especially women of color who'd been taught by society to settle for any fool with a mouth. Her music video underscores this subversion. As Lisa Nakamura writes in her book, Digitizing Race, quote, shots of Lopez tracked by surveillance cameras alternate with her image as represented in a website. She shares the stage and gaze. This puts a new spin on the traditional female position as object of the gaze, end quote. Lopez, through the eyes of a young Adam Rodriguez, throws the voyeur's voyeurism back as prescient commentary on the rise of the internet era. In college, J-Lo validated our big hair, our prioritizing of dance, our trips to lusterless Ohio malls to find cute tube tops at Rainbow. She would not let us succumb to mediocrity.
Yay! Thank you, Simona. I appreciate that. That was fabulous. Excellent, excellent. I screamed when I read that essay. I was just like, this is all I need. Oh, it's so good. Fabulous. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Thank you. Up next, let me find them. Let me find them. Hold on. There you are. Up next, we have the stunning and spectacular Simone J Banks. All right. Simone J Banks is a third-year MFA creative writing student at Louisiana State University. She is working on a book of poetry interrogating ancestral threads of trauma, womanhood, family, and love. Please help me welcome the fabulous Simone J Banks.
Thank you, Monica. I too decided to select the piece that was published in this issue. And I also decided not to give any context. I like this poem to land where it must for you. It's called A Nightmare Called Tonight. A mother moans, the night is warm. Moonlight shadows the roses a familiar lane into bleak. What has she lost? A son? Scarce as any summer night's answer. The emptying of his bedroom is proof. Fingerprints fade, black socks unball, drawing paper releases color. A vacant cloud, now set for 3. And who is responsible? The air tonight is not enough. A fist grows tight in her throat as her son last said amen or tried, walking centered down parallel yellows, a familiar scene of shadows to bid coverage and fail. He was ours, the city cried harmony, stolen life, left to rot against melting stone and gravel. Who captures the brusque weight of words from those morning lips? The mother is screaming now. The night is hot. Moonlight shadows the roses leaning midnight. What did she lose again? A son, scarce as any summer night's memory. So who is responsible? There is a swell of silent horror the boy joins to say goodnight. A bent head, a thread of fingers, eyes pressed closed. Did his body have meaning to you? O Lord, drowning deep in throats previously sung, against lips savoring what has birthed and died. But who is responsible? The mother's eyes are swollen now, and the night has not cooled, and there is no reprieve. Thank you.
Oh, yes. So good. So good. Yes. I'm so glad you read that one because yesterday was the anniversary of Breonna Taylor's death. So I'm really glad that you read that one. So I'm grateful for that. Judy, do you have a question? Does Judy have a question? I don't know. I don't know what's happening. It's all right. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Perfect. Thank you. Okay. Just checking, Judy. Just want to make sure. Thank you so much, Simone. I appreciate that so much. Up next, fabulous and wonderful. As soon as I find her, we have the excellent and spectacular Lucy Zhang. All right. Lucy Zhang writes, codes, and watches anime. Her work is included in Best Microfiction 2021, congrats, and a finalist in Best of the Net 2020. She edits for Barron Magazine, Heavy Feather Review, and Pithead Chapel. Find her on her website or on Twitter at Django_Ramen. Help me welcome the fantastic Lucy.
Thank you, Monica. So I was reading, or I was practicing the piece that I had published in the SFWP Quarterly, and it kept going over 3 minutes by way too long, and I didn't want to cut it because it's flash fiction. I've already cut it to as small as it could be. So I ended up choosing something shorter. And this piece is actually what got selected for Best Microfiction 2021, Code Baby. And I wrote this while, so I write code for my full-time job. I was screening bugs, and then I got distracted and wanted to write a piece sort of inspired by those bugs. And this is what came from it. So this is Code Baby, published originally in Third Point Press. I initialize constants for your name, variables for your height and weight, buffer sizes for your capacity to learn. The code appeared in a spew of semicolons and letters, incrementing and transferring and accessing memory segments that you'd grow into. You'd find solace in an aluminum box, operating between 5% and 90% non-condensing humidity, a beryllium-free environment. You'd age, become more complex, a pile of hacks and one-off conditionals, security by obfuscation, and the occasional glitch. Uncaught exception, object cannot be nil. You were there and then you weren't. An empty crib, lollipop pattern sheets flat, untouched. Some cryptographic state information was unavailable. The secrets whispered by your fetal heartbeat, I could never hear. Error, use of undeclared identifier. I saw something the compiler did not, an unhackable placenta. Malik, error for object address double free. Killed you once, removed you twice. Uterus sucked clean, spirit swept into graves. You stopped growing in megabytes. You crashed, panic, spun up the CPU until my skin burned. UML diagrams, flowcharts, object-oriented design. I planned. I swear I planned. I implemented and built this thing to last. Like a bird, I laid an egg, expelled from my body as a yolk missing its shell. I couldn't get it to work again, couldn't glue it back together with bit flips and binary, so I buried it in a hole. Thank you.
Wow. Everyone in the room is upset because that was really good. Everyone's just like, oh, so fabulous. You're such a star, Lucy. That was excellent. Yay. Thank you for sharing that with us. Oh, that was great. That was great. I love this reading. Y'all are killing this. Oh, I'm so impressed. Fabulous. Okay. Up next. Let me make sure. Oh, there they are. There we go. We have the excellent Ashley Elizabeth. I think, well, yep, that's what we're doing. Fabulous. Ashley Elizabeth is a writing consultant, teacher, and poet. Her works have appeared in, is it called Swim? Can I just call it Swim?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't think I've ever heard it said out loud. It's SWWIM, Swim. All right. The Hellebore and Lucky Jefferson, among others. Her chapbook, You Were Supposed to Be a Friend, is available from Nightingale and Sparrow. Ashley lives in Baltimore, Maryland with her partner and their cat. Please help me welcome the spectacular Ashley Elizabeth.
Thank you, Monica. And thank you, Santa Fe, for having me. I'm really excited to be in this space. So I'm going to be reading 2 pieces, maybe 3 if I have time. One from the issue, another one that I just think is like super, super fun, and then one from my book if I have time for it. So this first piece is called Lip Service. I paint my lips with cheerwine fine and seduction and finger spell you to sleep with silky palm and butterfly kisses. And there is God in this place tonight. That is undeniable. The sounds we make shake dust from the ceiling, and you wake up hungry, satisfied, but not satiated. You call me back, knowing I can't, won't say no. So that's one of the pieces from the issue. This next poem I'm gonna read is one of my new favorite poems. It's called Chicken Box with Salt, Pepper, Hot Sauce, a Word. And if you don't know, chicken box is 4 fried wings and fries on the side. So chicken box with salt, pepper, hot sauce, followed by please and ketchup on the fries. And I get my family back in the moment. I wade through Lexington Market looking at everything, but only buying from Parks and Old Faithful, a tradition I hope to keep if I have children, but it is only a moment. I've moved out. Mom has moved on. Dad is alone. Grandmother doesn't need Faylee's fish anymore because she's no longer on the way home, and the market is being rebuilt and gentrified. But I get to bite into crisp skin, tear things apart with bare hands, and moan, indulge in the salty, sticky sweet, devour something and mean it. And then the poem I'm gonna read from my book, You Were Supposed to Be a Friend. It's super short, it's 3 lines. It's called Truth. I loved you the only way I knew how, with hands and tongue. Thank you.
Got spicy and steamy in here. Excellent. You're so fabulous. Thank you so much, Ashley. That was excellent. Yay! Yay! Y'all are so good. I love this reading. This is great. This is fabulous. Okay. Fabulous. All right. Okay. Up next. Wait, let me make sure I find her before I just talk about her. Just hold on. Where are you, Sharissa? Don't wave because I can't see you yet. Wait, crap. Hold on. Okay. Up next, we have the fabulous Sharissa Anise. Sharissa Anise is an emerging writer and nonprofit professional. In her nonprofit work, she focuses on supporting youth change makers and promoting civic engagement. In her writing, she focuses on people finding their power in a world that views them as powerless. Sharissa lives in New York City, and she's in your screen. Help me welcome the fantastic Sharissa Anise.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Santa Fe, and everyone who's joining us on their Sunday afternoon or morning, depending on where you are. So I'll be reading an excerpt from the story in the Quarterly, Buying Coffee Near the E Train. And it's about a young person who's trying to raise money to buy his mother a coffee pot and make her life easier. This story actually started off as a poem, and it's a poem about desire and simple pleasures in life, for people who just don't have access to that. And so really this young person is just trying to provide that for different people in his life. And so this excerpt is, you'll see in a moment. When I got to first period algebra, Jamila was already in her assigned seat behind me. We never really greeted each other, but every now and then she would ask me what page we were on, how I did on the homework, or if I had an extra pencil. But today, as I was zoning out and doodling, she leaned up, smelling of cocoa butter and that strawberry candy that comes in a strawberry printed wrapper, and whispered, "I didn't know you could draw." "Oh, yeah, I guess a little," I replied. "How did you get that good?" "Well, I've been drawing since I could remember, like all the time." I wish I could draw like that. I can't even do stick figures. The bell rang, but I didn't want the conversation to end. "I can draw something for you." "Yeah? Okay. I forgot to mention that I was selling drawings and began to think that maybe making money as an artist wasn't in my future. The next period was art, so I asked Miss Melendez about selling art. "You gotta draw for you, bud, not the money," she said, twisting her face and waving her hand, her 5 or 7 bracelets clanking together as she did it. "This is your gift to the world. Love it, and it'll love you back. If you love it, are true to it, if you love you and are true to who you are, people will see that in your art, and that's what they'll want to buy. That's it, bud. No secret formula." When I got home later that night, as Mimi was bouncing Keisha's baby up and down, making her giggle and screech at the top of her lungs, I sat down to try to draw something for Jamila. "Interpret your subject," Miss Melendez would say. I looked out over the baby and listened to her squeal every time Mimi's face would reappear while playing peekaboo. When my sister's face would reappear, it was like the best thing that ever happened in her little life. It made me think about when I got to first period and saw Jamila there, or when she'd wave and smile at me when our eyes would meet on the bus. With my new color pencils, I used brown softly for her skin, sharp lines to show how the corners of her lips draw up to perfect 45-degree angles when she smiles, and small circles for the coils in her afro puff she wore on top of her head every day. I used pink and red to represent the strawberry candy she smelled like, and dark brown for her earthy eyes. The next day, I gave her the portrait wrapped in tissue paper. She looked at me, smiled a soft smile, and then slowly and delicately unwrapped the portrait. Thanks.
I love that story so much. That was so good. Yay! Thank you, Sharissa. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Y'all are so great. This is such a good reading. Oh, I'm having such a great time. I hope y'all are having a good time because I'm having like the best time. So I hope you're having a good time. Fabulous. Up next, we have the excellent and undefeated Mel Scherer. Mel Scherer is a writer, editor, and educator. She received her BFA from Hollins University in Roanoke, Virginia, and her MFA from Converse College in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Mel teaches creative writing and conducts creative writing and performance literature workshops. She currently resides in Las Vegas. Please help me welcome the stunning and fabulous Mel.
Thank you for that introduction. I feel like I should maybe sing a song or something instead of read poems. But I'm going to share 2 short poems with you guys today, one from the issue and then some new fire, just something for you to think about. So the first piece is titled, How It's Gotta Be. It don't gotta be all puppies and kittens, alters and status updates, hashtag smitten. Just make sure you get me a fruit cup, spiced the way I like it, from the mango man on the corner. Come in while I bathe, talking about my back, my shoulders. This next piece is called Donuts. Nobody's working me. It's hours till dawn, and yet still there's a drive to be productive before the day is even a day. I've washed the dishes, fed the cat, prepped for the day's work with my body prickling alive under my morning hoodie and an old t-shirt. It's so lovely now, purple, black, urban, quiet, the night air blowing through the screen. I can smell donuts and exhaust from up the street. Why don't we make love? Look here, I've made time to waste. Thank you guys, appreciate it. I'll sit back down now.
I don't know if you can hear us all screaming, but we just very much enjoyed it.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for having me.
We're having a great time. This is fabulous. Oh, this is such a good reading. Y'all are killing this. Like, exceeding my already very high expectations. So thank you so much. Okay, this is gonna be dope. Okay, anyway, let me get my life together. Stop, taking all the time. All right. Up next, we have the wonderful and stunning Limonta Salisbury. Yes. Limonta Salisbury is a New York City poet, writer, and educator. She's been a featured poet at Camperdown, a poetry reading series at Halyards, Honey Dip Productions, Girlhood 2020, and Body Love Open Mic Series. Excerpts of her nonfiction essays were performed with Counterpult reading series, and most recently, HTBAF, Honoring Our Ancestors by Open Source Gallery. She's a graduate of Hunter College and Craig Newmark, I knew I was going to mess that up, and Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at CUNY. Help me welcome the fabulous Anna.
Thank you so much, Monica. So I've got some biscuits to go with Ashley's chicken. So this poem is called This Body Needs a Biscuit. This body needs a biscuit every now and then, the kind that sits in tongue memory, the kind of biscuit rolled by a Black woman whose hands healed, peppermint candy unraveling loudly, retrieved from a Black purse, snapped shut by a gold clasp, hung on the bedpost when not snug in her lap. This body needs a biscuit rolled from the hands, setting curicomb droplets on a busted knee. This body needs a biscuit from the mouth that yelled salve on the back of the sink, like doctors on TV call stat. Salve, a salvation for boils and other body mysteries oozing to get out. This body needs a biscuit from the one whose mouth hummed praise, whose hands shaped bread into prayer, pushed and rolled flour with the same pin shaking at you in a threat. This body needs a biscuit pressed from a thick-lipped white coffee mug with a broken handle. This body needs a biscuit from the one who used a butter knife and not a steak knife to spread salted butter over hot cushions into a mouth waiting on communion with a body
that needs a biscuit. Thank you.
Yes, that gives me exceeding. I love that poem so much. I want you to know I made hot honey biscuits today. Yep. They're drop biscuits, so it's not as exciting as like rolled biscuits. Rolled biscuits are better. I'm just gonna say that as a fact. But I made drop biscuits, hot honey biscuits. They're delicious. So bless you.
A biscuit is a biscuit.
Tell the truth. Let them know, because these are facts. Oh, so grateful for you. Everybody needs a biscuit. I'm gonna have 3 right now. You're such a star. Thank you so much, Anna. Thank you so much. All right. Up next, we have the fabulous Wendy Thompson Taiwo. Wendy Thompson Taiwo is an assistant professor of African American Studies at San Jose State University. Her poetry has most recently appeared in the Rappahannock Review, Jet Fuel Review, Waccamaw Journal, Hey, I'm Alive, and Type House. She is the co-editor of the forthcoming collection, Sparked, George Floyd, Racism, and the Progressive Illusion. Help me welcome Wendy Thompson Taiwo!
Thank you so much, Monica. And thank you all for joining me here today on a Sunday. So I'm going to be reading an excerpt from a piece that I just wrote, because the poem that is featured, the California Wildfires 2020 doesn't give me pleasure, just because like I know that they're gonna happen again. So this piece that I wrote kind of explores food, and I'll go ahead and begin here. A delight. Thick black sauce coating the ceramic face of a freshly eaten dinner someone else cooked. Lick the plate clean. You decided, no, vowed, you would never learn how to cook, never be told by a man, is the food ready yet? A stranger in the kitchen, a phobia of appliances, all to evade the trap of being a good wife, just like your mother. But when you promised to never live off the ligaments of a man, all limbs, no marrow, you also gave up the creative beauty of learning how to melt chocolate for yourself in a tiny saucepan. To never learn to glaze a chicken popped in the oven one rainy evening, to never learn to garnish, to never. And instead have to find a man who knows his way around a kitchen, a man who can saute and pan fry and knows the difference between canola and vegetable while he keeps the cast iron warm, a Southern man who can crisp the outside of pork black while leaving it drizzled and wet in its own pink flesh, and I love you on the plate. Dinner's ready, little bird. You truly never left the nest. Consider this, you thought that never learning how to cook meant never being cornered in a house by a man who first came wooing you with macaroons and bachelor's buttons, only to chain you to a stove and condemn you to a life filled with children, all wanting a fixed plate and pie. But that was your great-grandmother's and mother's story, never yours. And yet here you are at 40, wishing someone other than Uber Eats would make you your dinner, little bird. What kind of pleasure lives in the jam filling of food? What kind of food stifles grief? What kind of grief is manufactured from being eaten? When he eats me, there is no body left, only the smell of cumin, the cinnamon bark of skin, the distinct taste of salt. Morton's, not pink Himalayan or sea. This is to say, we all take some pleasure from our relationships to complicated things and people. And where pleasure lives is somewhere between appetite and trauma, desire and deadlines. Isn't that why they call it guilty? Stealing time, sneaking a bite, tearing open the envelope of someone else's mail, holding in the confetti and birthday surprise until the entire thing jumps out and floods the shape of your quiet, buries your mundane under a dish rag, shushes the giggles from kissed lips in a house full of grandfathers and kids and dirty plates. A delight can be a small reprieve, a distraction, or the taste of macaroons at 40 that reminds you that the meal has already been paid for and all you have to do is eat it. Thank you.
Oh my God. Wendy, is that published anywhere?
No, not yet.
Can I have it?
Yes.
Done. Perfect. I'll hit you up. Don't worry about it. We'll put it in. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. You'll get an email. Jesus. Oh, wasn't ready. Was unprepared. Okay. All right. And how are we supposed to keep going? I don't know. All right. Thank you, Wendy. That was so stunning. That was, woo. Okay. Excellent. All right. Okay. All right. Who's next? We have the fabulous Anastasia. So glad they're here. All right. Anastasia is a writer, actor, medical student, and multitasker. I love that that's in their bio. From New York. Their writing has been published in Perennial Press, Olney Magazine, Passenger's Journal, and Academic Emergency Medicine. And she's the 2013 winner of the Means Essay Prize for Creative Nonfiction. Help me welcome the fabulous Anastasia.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Monica. This is actually my first ever reading, so I'm like so excited to be sharing this with you all. Also, if you hear my stomach growl from all those food-related pieces, we're just gonna move right past it. I decided to bring in not at all a break from tradition, the piece that's published in this issue. It's entitled Mending. As Monica mentioned, I'm also a medical student, and as you might imagine, this has been a bit of a heavy year for healthcare workers. And I noticed I was bringing in a lot of really heavy pieces to my writer's workshop. And I was like, you know what, let me try my hand at writing something light. So this is Mending. I hope you enjoy. No, says Tamara when she sees the yarn. No, Cal, you're not. I am, I say. She shakes her head, exasperated, already exhausted with me, even though she's only just gotten home. I narrow my eyes at her, daring her to stop me as I purl a stitch without breaking my gaze. Lark! Tamara yells into the other room, also without looking away. We're playing chicken. Lark, come see what Cal's doing! Lark stumbles out of his room with his blanket wrapped around him. He looks like a pupating slug. What? He asks wearily. Tamara points. I purl. It takes a second, and then Lark gets it. Aw, come on, Cal, he says. I like this one. What happened? Nothing, I say. Lark and Tamara look at each other. Tamara shakes her head again like she's not going to be the one to deal with me. Then why? Lark asks. I shrug. Another stitch. He's too nice. Tamara laughs like she can't believe me. Too nice? Cal, Lark says, flopping onto the couch beside me, releasing a fine mist of Dorito dust from the cushion. What the fuck? The heart doesn't want what the heart doesn't want, I say. What the fuck is that supposed to mean? It means, says Tamara, who has sat down and is unlacing her boots, that Cal is back on their bullshit. Lark brings a hand to his mouth and blows a fat raspberry. Tamara pulls a pack of clothes out of her jacket pocket and lights one. Long day? I ask her. You know what your problem is, Cal? Tamara asks. You don't think you deserve a nice guy. Well, yeah, I say. Duh, says Lark. Great insight, Tamara. Speaking of insight, she says, why is Cal's project news to us, Lark? What? Lark squawks. In case you haven't noticed, the goddamn world is ending out there. Don't have time to cast my divination on your petty little love lives. How are things with Tom? I ask. I don't want to talk about it, he says. So when is this happening? Tamara asks. I'm seeing him on Saturday, so probably then. Tamara puffs a long plume out of the corner of her mouth. And how long will it take to work? Assuming he wears it, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks? 2 weeks, Tamara echoes. Why don't you just break up with him the normal way? Because that would require confrontation, I explain. And knitting an entire sweater is easier than confrontation. Yes. Tamara turns to Lark for support, but he's nodding solemnly. Yeah, that holds up. She sighs and heads for the kitchen. Aw, poor Eli. I liked him. He's a nice guy. Attentive. That is exactly my thesis, Tamara. Hey, Lark calls to her. Do we have any of those happy childhood memory scones left? No, she scolds to the pass-through, because you monsters ate them all. You know I only allowed to have one. Make them again, Lark pleads. Maybe, Tamara says, pulling a large mixing bowl down from the cabinet. But I gotta do these first. What are you making? I ask. Courage muffins. Can I have one? Nope. Courage muffins only work if the eater has intrinsic courage. Wow. She shrugs. I knit. Tamara bakes, the gentle scrape of the whisk and the warm scent of spiced vanilla floating in from the kitchen, as Lark tells us about the time he accidentally predicted a power outage by dropping a can of Chef Boyardee and reading the patterns in the spill. As we talk and laugh, I finish the body of the sweater. Thank you.
That story is so good, y'all. You need to read the whole thing. So if you haven't read it yet, you need to get your lives together, because that's like almost low-key, every single piece that we published in this issue have made me scream and be like, we're doing this, which is why it's so big. That's why there's 29 contributors into this issue. Whatever, I don't care. That story is so good. You're such a star, Anna. Thank you. So good. Okay, all right. I'm looking for Zada. I'm not gonna mess up their name. Say it right. Lies if I can't find them. Hold on, team. I'm gonna find them. Don't wave, I'll find you. Where are you, Zada? Where did you go? Oh crap. Hold on, y'all. There you are. Zada! Where'd you go? There you are. Okay. All right. Up next, we have the stunning and wonderful Zada R Ahmed. I got people in the room trying to correct me, so I want to make sure I was right. All right. Zada R Ahmed is a South Asian poet based in Toronto, Canada. You're one of our fabulous international contributors. Her work centers on themes of intimacy and isolation through the lens of atmospheric imagery. Their poetry can be read online at I'm just going to say all the letters, AHMZERS on Instagram and Twitter. Also, just go to the website and just click, and it'll be great. It will be wonderful. Welcome, the stunning Zada!
Thank you, Monica. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to start with the piece that I have in the journal. It's called The Most Powerful Aphrodisiac, and then I'm going to read another one that I have on my Instagram. All right. The taste of the air on a midsummer evening, like a single breath, could feed me for eternity. With the memory of your arms and mine, limbs locked like juniper as you hum recollections of your past, memories lacking me. A sweat drop slicks your hair to your forehead, and I fall for you as it reaches mine. As you pull away, autumn appears, and again, I hunger. Okay, and then the second poem is called The Savor of Syrup Before the Sting. Bumblebee kisses circle my fingers like a field of lavender. You compliment me like color theory. In your presence do the overcast hours overturn to a vision of chromatic dreams that I do not seek to wake from. In the mornings you hum, gently, handcrafted melodies meant for my ears only, and I wonder, with a voice so sweet, do your vocal cords soak in manuka? Each and every wholehearted half chuckle of yours drips in honeyed luxury. Before I know it, you've balanced the bitter in me with nothing more than a single breath, hot on my skin like the sun over sugar water. Thank you.
Jesus. Okay, unprepared. I'm gonna keep saying that after everyone's reading, but God. Oh, y'all are killing this. Y'all are really killing this. Oh, you're such a star, Zada. Thank you for sharing that with us. That was stunning. Okay. All right. Sorry, I'm gonna stop just making sounds, but also, geez, y'all are so good. This is so good. I'm living. Oh, I just passed you. I'm living my best life in this reading right now. Okay. Up next. Correct me if I screw this up, because I'm gonna do it right. Up next, we have the fabulous Pietra Dunmore. Is that right? Hi. All right. Pietra Dunmore writes short stories, creative nonfiction, and poetry. Her writing has appeared in Philadelphia Stories, Oye Drum, Causeway Lit, Hippocampus Magazine, and the Journal of New Jersey Poets. Welcome!
I have also decided to read a piece that's in the journal, but I edited it a little bit so that all the nasty tidbits you can read on your own. So it's called I've Always Been Your Woman. We walked towards his dorm and stood near the entrance, silent. His hands touched my face, slowly going down my neck and shoulders. Then he stopped and butted his forehead against mine, looking at me. I looked right back at him. You want to come in? He asked. I followed him in the dark, past the kitchen and community space to his door. His gray-walled room had an old television set with an antenna and not much else. There was a black milk crate that functioned as a makeshift bookcase on top of the wooden dresser, empty vodka bottles on the floor. In the corner, a metal folding chair surrounded by spray paint cans. I've never had anybody else in this room, he said. Glad to be the first, I said. Nothing in his space proved that I existed, or even that he himself slept there. I don't know what made me look. I knew that there probably wouldn't be any noticeable signs of him in my place, but I knew where they were. I had a handwritten poem in my drawer with his notes and suggestions scrawled in blue ink in one of my drawers. We were both facing the window that overlooked the football field. He sat on the bed and reached his hands out, touching my face. I draw you all the time, but I can't get your face right. His fingertips touched my brow bone, then leisurely traveled down my cheek, circling my lips and down the side of my neck. Are you looking at me like an artist now? I asked. No, I am not. I closed my eyes as he kissed me, trying my best to dismiss my anxiousness. His roommates were at some frat party. They probably wouldn't be back that evening. The brightness of the full moon shone through his window as he touched my body with his fingers. Rhetoric's hands and lips glided from the curve of my breast to the length of my leg, tracing each line, curve, and crevice with his fingertips. Rhetoric's fingers toyed with the elastic of my underwear, pinching the fabric up and away from my skin. You know you're my woman, right? He asked, looking into my face and holding my head in the palms of his hands. I've always been your woman, I answered. And if you want to know more, I would suggest you read the issue. Thank you.
Y'all should read the whole thing though, because it's a little dirty. But we love it. We love it. Thank you so much, Pietra. Appreciate you. That was fabulous. That was so fabulous. All right, up next, if I can find him, is the fabulous and wonderful Christopher Luis Romagueta, who's coming to us from New Orleans. I know. Chris is one of the few people in this reading who's done a reading with us already. So yay! Okay, all right, let's do this. Christopher Luis Romagueta is a Cuban-American writer who was born in Hialeah, Florida. And thank God for CSI Miami that taught me how to say that, the word of that. Anyway, moving on. in case you're wondering how I knew how to say it. All right, he's a monthly columnist at the Plowshares blog. Romagueta's publications include Podunk Review, New Orleans Review, and Pink Magazine. He has an MFA in creative writing at the University of New Orleans. We're so glad to have you here, Chris. Give it up. Do your thing. Clap, clap, clap.
Thank you, Monica. And I was definitely curious how to say Hialeah. So, no, just quick, I just want to thank you, Monica, and Andrew, and everyone at Santa Fe's Writers Project for putting my piece up. And also want to thank everyone who's read before me and who will read after me for keeping the bar so high. Yeah, and I guess give a shout out to, I believe my mom, pops, and sister are somewhere in the Zoom ether. But I'll be reading the piece, or a section of the piece that was published, and I decided to do a wardrobe change to emulate it as much as possible, and we'll sit on the basketball like I was on the courts. Sometimes I limp, whether it's from the cold or a run or just existing, I limp. Sometimes people ask me about it. Same with when we used to go to bars and I'd show off the noise my jaw makes. from a league basketball game where a 6'2", 200-pound dude pump faked me and I jumped in all my 5'9", 150-pound glory, just to land chin first on top of his head. I think of the scars that have faded into my skin. I think of all the street ball games where the scores have been forgotten, but the feeling remains. Most of the basketball I've played has been with my pops, my peoples, strangers on the streets I've lived on. And even the pains that stick with me come with the pleasure of remembering the first thing I ever got good at. The trophies of scars and limps and jaws that pop, all bringing pleasure of growing up playing ball. Right now, my basketball sits in the backseat of my car, deflated from a pandemic's worth of idleness. When I grab it, my fingers are outstretched like I'm in the middle of a shooting drill. Stop and pop like I'm going to shoot it right in front of my house to the Oliver Bush playground in the lower 9 of New Orleans, or to the park in the Irish Channel I used to play late night games at after my hometown Miami Heat's NBA Finals back in 13, or Bunny Friend where I used to second line, or back home in Miami at the Hammocks courts where I went to middle school, or the courts in Overtown that Alonzo Mourning built where I played regulation games at. I keep my ball in the car as a throwback to the old days, the days when I used to pull over at the sight of an empty court or a full one, lace up my sneakers in the quiet or to the metronome of basketballs being dribbled and shot, as I'd holler out next while I'd dribble on the sideline, adding my bounce to the chorus of sneakers smacking ground, the basketballs hitting the pavement, to the quiet as the ball was up in the air, waiting for the thud of the rim or backboard, of the beautiful breeze of a swish, before the ball cratered to the ground and the next play started back up. I keep the ball in the backseat of my car like how my father kept my first basketball sneakers, kid Celtics ones, hanging from his rearview mirror of his beat up Mazda. For I've loved this game as long as my memory stretches. The pleasure spiked with pain that Pops loved, that Pops taught me, that I inherited. Thank you.
Y'all gotta read the whole thing. It's so good. It's so good. And it makes me sad because I just miss, basketball. So I know it's on technically, but it's not the same thing. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Chris. I love that. I love that essay so much. So stunning. Okay. I'm emotional. Let's do this. Okay, up next, we have the fabulous and wonderful Jahan Kajavi. Hold on. I think. Are you there, Jahan?
I'm here. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
There you are. Hi, dear.
Ciao.
It's
Sorry,
so good to see you.
I messed up my time change.
It's not your fault. It's our fault because we're the United States. We suck. So it's fine. It's okay. Jahan is in Rome. Living Jahan's best life. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, are you ready? Are you ready? I'm gonna introduce you. You ready?
I think so. I'm just gonna read the poem. Yeah?
Yeah, just read the poem. That'll be great. Okay.
Read the poem. Fabulous,
Jahan
thanks.
Kajavi, based in Rome, as we've learned, composes and performs, quote, wildly amusing and explicit queer poetry, which was what Vogue referred to Jahan's work as. Recent poems can be found in Split Lip, Bass, Dream Pop, and the Fog Lifter anthology, Home is Where You Queer Your Heart. I love the title of that. I love it. Kajavi is also currently collaborating with Brandon Menke on a series of queer cowboy poems, some of which appear in Columbia Journal and Denver Quarterly. Help me welcome the stunning and fabulous Jahan Kajavi.
Thank you for that intro. Okay, here we go. While others try to keep alive their livers and their tongues, we happily instead let sweets and alcohol rot ours. While others try to keep unsoiled their fingers and their lungs, we joyfully instead let tea and cigarettes spot ours. While others looking for themselves alone go into caves and forests over deserts or up mountains under waves, We gaily stay where we are aware of where we are among the others in this bar, all well aware the world's not ours. Ta-da!
Ta-da! And thank you, Jahan. That was
Thank you.
fabulous. Oh, you're such a star. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I love this reading. This reading's giving me the most joy I've literally had all month. Okay, all right. Who else we got? Hold on. All right. So thank you so much. Up next, I'm looking for you, Miss Wright. Where are you? There you are. Are you ready? It's gonna happen, so I hope you're ready.
I'm here.
You're here and you're ready. Fabulous. Okay. Up next, we have the fabulous Ellen June Wright. Ellen June Wright was born in Bedford, England, of West Indian parents. Yo, me too. Not in England. I was born here, but I also have West Indian parents. All right. She has worked as a consultant on guides for 3 PBS poetry series. She has been published in Louisiana Literature, Exit 13, Fourth River, and Hurricane Review, and is the founder of Poets of Color Virtual Poetry Workshop. Help me welcome the fabulous Ellen June Wright.
I am having such a good time. Here in my apartment all by myself, I'm having such a great time. I am so happy to be here. I'm going to read the 2 poems that are in the quarterly, and one I'm not sure about pleasure, but the other one I'm definitely sure relates to pleasure. The first one is called The Albatross, and my mother is part of, you would say she's like 2nd generation, the Windrush generation of West Indians who went to work in England in the 50s and 60s. And so this kind of relates to that time period. The Albatross. No angels told my mother I was coming. I weighed heavy on her mind 9 months as she worked with the other Jamaican women at Bachelor Peas in Huntington on the canning factory floor until the day before I was born. In 1962, I weighed her down like an albatross or something else to free herself of as soon as she could. But when I came, something like an angel stirred the waters in her as at the pool of Bethesda, where the infirmed of every kind gathered and gave her hope of healing. It's bad luck to kill an albatross, so she gave birth to me instead and did not send me away. The next poem is called From Under the Dryer. I watched the beautician twisting and coiling a woman's hair. Her nimble fingers motions repeat with each lock, and I think of childhood seated there between mother's legs as she once divided sections of my hair. There's comfort in hands tending to one's scalp, the familiar massaging in of oils, the comb parting and sectioning, the deft fingers moving effortlessly, twining braid after braid. As mother and child, we were held together by invisible strands. It was a ritual grown out of too soon. When else in life does one yield the body to another when not in sickness or in love? And it is as sensuous an embrace and longed for, that primal human thing, that touch. Thank you.
Ellen, that was so good. So good. We were like shouting here after you read The Albatross. We were like, oh, you're such a star. That was wonderful. So wonderful. Oh. Okay. All right. Let me be cool and get my life together. Okay. All right. We have 2 readers left. I feel like y'all should have like, some warning. We have 2 readers left. We have, I'm looking for you, Crystal. Where are you, Crystal? There you are. We have up next, we have Crystal Mae Statler! Yay! Okay. So you should know, Crystal Mae Statler has agreed to be part of my choreo poem production, which is happening at the end of April. So if you love her here, you'll love her there. That's all. It's my brief shameless plug. Okay, Crystal Mae Statler is a multiracial poet living in Los Angeles. She is a co-founder / editor for Every Other, a Los Angeles-based collective that publishes literary broadsides by writers from around the world. Her poems have been featured in the Santa Fe Writers Project Quarterly, that's us, Cultural Weekly, and Walls and Bridges Monologue Festival. Crystal holds an MFA in writing from Otis College of Art and Design. She is currently working on her debut collection. Help me welcome the fabulous and stunning Crystal Mae Statler!
Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I cannot even type fast enough trying to catch all your fire that's coming through. So I am going to be reading new shit, and it is dedicated to KT. Italian canals carried us closer, scooping kisses as waves crashed. We nestled into what it could be to be together. Each day spent in Venice meant one day closer to evenings perfecting pasta, rooting for the Blazers, yelping at thunder surprising the city. How could we have known this on the canals? When I wake before your cocooned heart, with nothing to disturb my prayers. My God, I whisper, you are beautiful. Portland mountains opened the oceans inside of us. Side by side, we choose each other each day. Sometimes I buy blue things for our home so I can be reminded of your eyes. What is better than getting love from home, even when home has gone out to the market? Winter slows and we're here, deserving of this family in our real life that is its own love poem, which eviscerates the rules of love poems and writes love over and over, without erasure of who we were or what we've lived through. Stare with me, love, into the horizon. Do you see us together out there too? In the naked abyss of all that we don't know, like the hours we've spent in evenings perfecting pasta, rooting for the Blazers, opening new chapters with scooped kisses, or sometimes buying blue things for our home. Isn't everything possible while we sit on the rocks? Thank you.
You're so fabulous. Yay! Oh, so good, so good, so good. This is just, we're like at the end and like, why? Okay, all right, that was great. That was so fabulous. That was so good. That was so good. You guys are so fabulous. Okay, all right, it'd be cool. All right, I'm next. Our final reader of the day. I know you're sad that it's ending, but our final reader of the day is the stunning and fabulous Adrian Christian. Okay, Adrian Christian gets to read a little bit longer for a couple of reasons. One, Adrian is the first person to release a book for 2021 from SFWP. Is that correct? That's right. Yeah. So her it's not her first book, but she's the first like published person for the year. So the fabulous Adrian Christian, I'm gonna read your bio. Let me talk about it. Then we'll talk about the book. Okay, Adrian Christian is a poet, writer, and photographer, fine art photographer. She is the author of 2 previous poetry collections, 12023 Woodmont Avenue, which came out in 2013, and A Proper Lover, which came out in 2017. Her work has appeared in Prairie Schooner, Hayden's Ferry Review, Calyx, Phoebe, the Los Angeles Review as the editor's choice, and dozens of other journals and magazines. She's a fellow of both Cave Canem and Callaloo writing residencies. She earned her BA from the University of Michigan, her MFA from Pacific University, and her PhD from the University of Nebraska. Her third poetry collection, which is titled Worn, which I've been looking for in my house for the last like 45 minutes, and I cannot find it. It's somewhere in this house. Worn launches from SFWP in 2 weeks. It goes live April 1st. We are so excited. If you have not pre-ordered it, you're behind. So get your shit together and come join us in the epicness that is celebrating Adrian Christian. Adrian, we have to talk really briefly. I have to gush about Adrian for a second. So Adrian and I like met officially last AWP when we probably shouldn't have been there because it was like beginning of the pandemic, right? And we met. We did a reading. No, we didn't do a reading. We did a panel together about abortion, which was like scary and intense and fabulous. And I was like, so where's like your book? You got a book? What you doing? What's happening? And she was like, oh, and then like 7 months later, I was like, so you still got that book? And she was like, I got that book. I was like, send that book. And so now she's publishing with us, and I'm so excited. So join me in welcoming the stunning and fabulous Adrian Christian. Hopefully, you should be reading from her newest collection, Worn, which discusses Black love and clothing. You are welcome. Congrats. Let's do it. There it is. There's the book. There it is. Okay.
Thank you, everybody. It's such a joy to be here. This reading has been great, Monica. I'll start off with a poem called How to Make a Sunday Chicken Frying Dress. And you guys all know what a chicken frying dress is. It's that sexy dress last summer, and you looked so good in it, and maybe somebody photographed you in it, so you can't wear it again and be photographed in it again. So it's about how a sexy dress becomes even sexier after it's been worn. How to make a Sunday chicken frying dress. Go on, bow out. You won't soon forget the magic you made in this world in your long, red, cotton blend, strapless summer dress, though some would call it a gown. A stranger on the train asks which actress you are. Another asks if you are the devil. He said, smiling, red, attractive, that tail, yeah, you gotta be the devil. And Facebook gave it more than 400 likes. But like an old soldier in fatigues, having done his duty to country, go on and lay it down now. Wash it, dry it, on heavy, in hot water, stretch it out when it shrinks, get it threadbare. Not so your nipples can show, so they are the show. Now, get that ass in the kitchen, fry a platter full of chicken. You hear that popping grease sound? That's applause. You hear your old man fold up his newspaper, having gotten a whiff. Here he comes to harass and kiss. This next poem is called Blizzard, spelled BLZRD, Blizzard 2014, and it's written in Scrabble letters. This morning's blizzard spells cup of noodles in pajamas, playing love and sex words only Scrabble. My sweetheart in a robe, all that chest hair showing, thighs and calf muscles like trucks in socks, smoking his cigar. It's my own turquoise robe my sweets is wearing. I'd flung noodle juice on his robe when I'd caught his butt cheating, hiding Z's and Q's in the pockets. Plus, I'd grown too warm with the fireplace heater and the hot tea with whiskey and lemon. Anywho, here we are now, making love with little letters after having made love all morning. And what you need to know about this poem is that it looks like Scrabble here, and we were allowed to spell words phonetically when we play love and sex Scrabble. This next one is called Soldier of Love. And it's about moving from Michigan to New York. All those winters I spent in Michigan, coddled by my car. I could have been here in Harlem, out walking in the snow, only my own boots on the ground. Oh, glorious outside, snow falling, softest jewelry box songs, inspiring me into spinning, arms up like a jewelry box girl. All those years I spent in the car, I could have been out here walking, sculpting my booty with every trudge, toning my thighs with every lift and lay of each leg. Up, down, left, right, forward, home. Getting home, getting my key from my bra, walking up all the steps to my place. On the staircase, turning to see a handsome man, seeing he'd been following me. Like the rats, he'd run in when I'd open the door, little naughty thing trying to get warm. This next one is called Portrait of My Taurus Lover Who Only Ever Wore Khakis, Wife Beaters, Flip-Flops, and Yankee Fitteds. And we know now that wife beaters is problematic, so we say wife blesser instead. What you need to know about this poem is that taters and maters are tomatoes and potatoes. So another poem about New York. Walking to the Riverside Drive fireworks, we drink our way down to the eats. Dogs and burgers with taters and maters, with my head on his shoulder, his hat on my head, Henny in our red solo cup together. And this next poem is called Portrait of My Very Jealous Husband. And you should know that it's a hustle. So it's in couplets, and the second line of every couplet is the same word, which in this case is books. This is in the voice of my very jealous husband. No, what Adrian loves is books. For breakfast, it's tea, toast, watermelon, books. In her bathroom, on the sink, in every space around the tub is bubble baths, sugar scrubs, magazines, books. In her ponytail, chewed number 2s for marking books. On her face, on her breast, on her belly, in her little black dress pockets, everywhere I look at my lady, books. Forget going to the mall trying to buy this woman anything other than the only thing she ever wants, books. Have an argument? Lose. Whatever you think you know? Nah, she already read the book on it. She already wrote the book on it. No seeing me pull up and rushing down to take my bag. She's in the window, yes, the window seat, all hugged up with a book. I gotta wait on my mimosas and chicken and waffles on Sundays, belly howling. She's still in the goddamn bed with her book. I've been traveling 2 weeks, get home, go lie down on my side of the bed, her dog and her books. I've been busting through my boxers all night, try to touch her. She holds up a finger. Almost finished with this book. Monica, do I have more time? I was going to do 2, or I can do one more. It's okay. It's okay, yeah?
Yeah,
okay,
one more.
Okay, one more, okay. So this one is called Ball Smell. And it also is a hustle. And it goes like this. Girls, do you too love ball smell? Because I am in love with my husband's ball smell. Here we are sitting on the sofa. I've got my head in his lap. He's got on nothing but his drawers, that ball smell. Thinking about it, I shudder like a feather on the ear. I love his cologne too, but I really love his ball smell. We're watching Harlem Nights or whatever, Friday night. He's drinking Heineken. I'm drinking in that ball smell. These Boss black boxer briefs I stuffed in his stocking for Christmas. Right now, I'm about to stuff these giant balls in my mouth. Teabag these awesome balls. I won't take off his drawers. I love these drawers. I just pull them to the side. Just enjoy the balls. Right now, he's trying to fuck me, but all I want right now is this. I tell him, pour some Heineken on him. Balls.
I'm so glad you read that poem. So glad you read that poem. And this is why you went last. All right. If you haven't got, I found the copy. If you haven't gotten Adrian Christian's Warn, it's okay because it's not official yet. It hasn't been released to the public yet. But if you need to pre-order it, now is the time, team. Now is the time.
Thank you.
It goes live April 1st. We're so excited. Okay. All right. Let me be cool. Let me change this view so I can see all of you. Okay. We've reached the end of our time. So we're gonna do the great unmuting, and we're gonna clap for everybody. That's what we're gonna do. So if you have a drink to toast, it doesn't have to be alcoholic. It's Sunday and I gotta work today. So like, if you have alcohol, that's fine. But like, it doesn't have to be alcohol. So feel free. I'm gonna have you all mute. Please hold. And clap, 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 clap. Woo! Thank you all so very much. That was such a stunning reading. Y'all killed it. Oh, you killed it. You killed it. You killed it. Okay, so this toast, I have a whole toast for you. So you ready? Okay, so here's a toast. Mel, you've got this. You're doing it right. I made Nicole go open a whole nother bottle in the middle of this because we finished it. So, okay. For those of you who have experienced sadness, depression, anxiety, anger, frustration, any of the negative emotions over the last year of this nonsense pandemic, this is for you. For those of you who have experienced joy, excitement, thrill, happiness, pleasure over the last year or more, this is also for you. For those of you who have felt numb, exhausted, behind, tuned out, unplugged, this is also for you. Thank you so much for joining us. You're wonderful, beautiful, fabulous, and full of magic. We are grateful for you spending an hour and some change with us. Join us again in June for our next installment of the quarterly reading series, which is being hosted probably also by me, but maybe by our editor who's sitting next to me and is avoiding me. Like, maybe she'll do it. Because our next reading is going to feature exclusively BIPOC and LGBTQ++ writers. I'm so excited for that one. It's going to be stunning. It's currently being edited by our fabulous acquisitions editor, Nicole Schmidt, who is stunning and fabulous. And we're so pumped. We're so glad she's going to be doing it. If you haven't started following everything that is SFWP, you're also behind. Get your shit together. We're grateful for you. Thank you for spending time with us. Cheers, cheers, cheers. Cheers, cheers. Clink, 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 clink. Thank you. Hang out if you want. I'm gonna stop the recording.